Hello everyone, welcome to CocoaHeads 182. Yes. Okay. In the spirit of reconciliation, Melbourne CocoaHeads acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. Okay, tonight we have an awesome show. We have Callum Silcock. You know, you've got a great web domain story to tell one day. But yep, yearly themes, a flexible approach to goal setting for 2025. And then after that, we've got Dylan Armstrong, learning iOS development with Swift. A compare contrast of now and the future. Oh, I'm blocking the title. Oops. Okay, we have a code of conduct here at Melbourne CocoaHeads. It's summarized into like if you see someone sort of feeling uncomfortable or harassed or not welcome, let people know. Either, you know, we would normally have little pins, but we couldn't find them today, and name tags and stuff. But yeah, there's also an anonymous form online that you can fill out, melbournecocoaheads.com/code of conduct. Great, some housekeeping things. If we need to escape, the emergency exits just outside, down the thing to the right, yeah, near the toilets. And then if you need to go to the toilet, they're just there if you need, you know, just past the elevators to the right. Ignore this one because we don't have them today. Couldn't find the bag. As Box said, it's an online event as well, so don't just ask questions during the presentation unless the presenter explicitly asks for, you know, a response, then you're allowed to respond. And if you're online on the Slack channel, just post your questions in Melbourne-meetup. Hashtag Melbourne-meetup. Melbourne-meetup. Okay. Or the MC will ask on your behalf. Yep, great. Okay. It helps the evening flow better. Okay. Thank you to our sponsors. They make these nights possible. Mantle Group. Big round of applause to Mantle Group. They've been a great support. And REA Group as well, a silver sponsor. Thank you. You're getting a mic ready.
No, thanks to both sponsors for continuing with us for
Continuing
2025.
with us this year, and we appreciate it. Thank you. And if anyone else wants to jump on board and support us, let us know. Either, you know, reach out to Bok or myself, Pat, Bok, you know, someone will help. We'll send you more info. Some events going on this month. Coding night, 19th of February, Wednesday, next Wednesday here at Mantle Group. There was a presentation last year with a guy that did a light thing. I don't know, it was like he did a portable LED thing for like streamers and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure he'll be there because he wants to fix a bug in his app. So I'm going to help him do that. And if it should be a bit of fun. So yeah, come to that if you want. Bring your family and friends, great time. CocoaHeads Social Night. Now, I'm pretty sure this has moved. Maybe. Tups could back it up here. Brick Lane Brewing, second floor? Nope. Yep, great. Or was that there last year? And I've just, yep, great. Same place as it was last year. Okay, 466 Queen Street, great. What else is on? Okay, so I've added some conferences coming up. Not sure if they're relevant or if anyone cares, but there was a chance we were going to go to TriSwift Tokyo. I don't think we're going anymore, but if someone else goes, no, I don't, it's rough. Anyway, the point is that if someone's going, report back. Go and let us know how it was. If there's any other events going on, maybe someone from the crowd wants to, is anything else happening in the iOS world that people know about? Amy? That's covered? Okay, awesome. Point Free are doing a live stream on Saturday morning at 4 a.m. if anyone wants to tune in. So that should be fun. 7-year anniversary. You know, get on that. And that was my slide that I started with. Other groups, yes, we've got some friends out there. So there's Sydney CocoaHeads, GDG Melbourne. So they'll be at the coding night as well. So it's not just an iOS event. And this little aunz.cocoaheads.social, that's got all the sort of CocoaHeads related events from Australia and New Zealand. Wonderful. I'm picking this up.
Auckland CocoaHeads as well are having their first meetup as well.
As in?
Next Wednesday.
next Wednesday. Oh, it's coding night. We can't. Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, preferences to. Okay, anyway. Yep, so there's some info. Melbourne. Who moderates that? Who, like. Oh, I thought there was the Mastodon thing here. Yeah. Who's on it? Okay, great. Okay, wonderful. And Slack. Slack, we're a big fan of. Oh, if you've got ideas for talks this year, stuff you want to see, we're going to send out a survey. We will send out a survey. You can keep me accountable for that. What you want to see this year, things you want to do, we'll make it fun. Great. Jump in volunteers helps out. Now let's kick it off. Is that it? Did I cover everything? Yeah, great. Just like riding a bike. Callum's going to jump up here and kick us off. Give him a round of applause.
We're getting things ready for the live stream. So if the talk gets too boring and you need to escape, the emergency exits are back that way. Excellent. Hi everyone, I'm Callum, your friendly neighbourhood front-end principal, currently working at ANZ with Bock and Pat. And I've got a talk on yearly themes and alternative to goal setting. Now, I'm trying a new presentation format where I have AI generated all of the images, well, most of the images in the slides, and I decided to pick the most hilariously bad ones. So please call out in the Slack group or the chat on YouTube when you notice extra fingers and things that don't look quite right. I also make these slides and my presenter notes and everything available open source. They'll be on my website, which is csi.lk. I don't have them up yet, but I will soon. So that's also available open source on GitHub. And I'll do the whole speaker deck thing and stuff like that. If you want to catch me on any socials, I don't really have any that I look at, if I be honest. You can look at me on LinkedIn or just grab me through my website. Okay, enough preamble. We know where the emergency exits are, we're good. Okay. Starting off, resolution. How many people set a New Year's resolution? Can I get a show of hands? Just just one, no. Quite a few people, right? And I assume that maybe a few of them have already failed by now. Clock strikes 12, and in 2025, I decided that I wanted to drink a lot less. I then had friends from Scotland arrive, and I asked them what was the main thing they wanted to do in Melbourne. And they said, we want to check out as many breweries as possible. So that resolution was kind of short-lived. And yes, I'm up for having a drink afterwards as well. But you know what makes me feel better? It's not just me that's already hit this problem. Many people share where I'm currently at. Let's look at gyms in two numbers. 12.5% and 80%. 12.5% of yearly new gym sign-ups are in January, and 80% of those sign-ups cancel their membership before mid-year. Or, as the old joke goes, I'm going to open a place that's a gym for 2 months and a bar for 10 months and call it resolutions. So why is this a common experience for everyone? And I include this graph just because I love the pun Auld Lang's line, but it shows the trend line, right? New Year's resolutions suck. A significant amount of people set goals before the end of the year, then bail out on that goal as soon as they hit an issue. Like, random example, friends from Scotland coming to town. So what does work? Hey, it's the name of the talk, themes, yeah, rainbow and happy. Give yourself a theme. Hey Callum, what are you talking about? What's this theme thing? So the whole idea is, instead of setting yourself up to fail with, I'm going to stop drinking next year, or I'm going to read one book a week at least, we can abstract the theme with something like Year of Health, or year of reading. Now, if that sounds a bit broad, that's kind of the point, because what we're worried about here is the trend line going up. If the trend is going in the right direction, then so are you. Or as James Clear puts it in his book Atomic Habits, if you get 1% better each day for a year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. Now, there's a lot of good presentations by James Clear available on YouTube. I'd suggest having a look at as well. Sidebar. Okay. So, how does a theme help? 122. You make on average 122 informed decisions every day. Informed, like active decisions, like what should I eat for lunch, and when am I going to run out on this talk and go down the fire escape, and how much pizza should I eat from up the back? Our theme gives us the decision framework to fall back on for each one of these choices. For example, if my theme is year of health, and I get asked whether I want to go to the pub for lunch, I now have a framework to help me make that choice. The health choice is maybe to eat my packed lunch in the fridge. Or if I do go to the pub, maybe I can get a salad on top of my burger. But the point here is for each of these 122 decisions, we use our theme as a framework to push our trend line upwards. All right, personal example. Hey, it's me. Not AI generated, by the way. So I just moved jobs to the ANZ one I talked about. Bought a house which required a bunch of work, and my wife and I were talking about having children. I needed to focus on getting my life in order. So I did, as we all do, of I'm going to do N things in tea time, right? So I set those goals of I'm going to exercise N times a week, and I'm going to cook N meals a week. But I wanted something that would work, because I had done this previously and nothing ever happened, or I had the same resolution problem of hitting issues after a while. So I came up with my theme of year of stability, focusing on how do I set my life up to be as stable as possible. So I made a bunch of branching path choices that ended up with a fully painted nursery, which is pictured here, solar panels, a bunch of new recipes, a new hatred for weightlifting. But what was really interesting was that stability started to take on more meaning. I started focusing on strengthening my relationships with friends, putting dedicated couple time in my calendar, and changing my work approach to take myself out of critical paths. Because the point here is a good theme can't fail. It's a broad direction set to navigate your life, whether it's your personal life or your work life. And sidebar, yes, that is a ship sailing on a sea of beer. I just want to make that clear. Geez, I'm getting thirsty now. All right, how do we make this practical, right? We're engineers, the people in the future, hello, who are watching this. How do I get started? Pretty straightforward template, right? 3 parts: theme, why, and ideal outcomes. We actually start with the why. So what would I like to change or improve upon? Or when I've worked with mentees around this, I'll say, what do you really want to change, and why do you really want to change it? And you need to be honest with yourself in this process. This is for you at the end of the day. So example, why? I'm spending too much time doom scrolling TikTok and my concentration's all over the place. I'm sure that doesn't apply to any of us here. And this is my year to reduce my screen time and get back into reading, and I want to find a community to progress with. Great. We've got our why, so let's work backwards towards our broad directional phrase, right? So, year of reducing screen time, bit too specific and clunky. Year of focus is good, but I wanted it to be about reading, so year of reading. Point here is iterate on this. Talk to your friends and family. It's hard to read. It's hard to read the label from inside the bottle, right? And come up with something that resonates with you for the year. So year of reading is an example. We can now define what our ideal outcomes look like. So what are ideal outcomes? We pick high-level deliverables that are easily achievable, really. Essentially, they act as a guide to refer to what we need, and we can change them as we go, but they're not gospel is the point. So, for example, with my year of reading, I could have, well, I want to read 12 books, and I want to join a book club, and set up screen time on my phone. You guys get it. So, if you don't hit the outcomes throughout the year, that's okay. Like, progressing is the point, right? This is something you refer to, but as I said, you don't set it as gospel. All right, another quick example. So, year of health as an example. My why, I want to improve my sleep and general health so I can keep up with my daughter rather than being tired all the time. Jeez, a bit too honest about that one today. This year I want to focus on good nutrition, building more active time into my day, and sleeping better. So I could have outcomes like complete a 10K run. I don't know why I wrote that. I've never run a day in my life. Meal prep my lunches, my clothes fit better. You guys get the idea. Now, Callum, this feels very life coachy, but how do I relate it to work? Or how do I relate it to my job as an engineer or my work life? I guarantee, I can leave this slide up for longer. Everybody's sniggering at it. Because I guarantee your theme will also be applicable to your work. If it's year of reading, it could consist on learning a new technical concept or spending more time in PRs or even writing more documentation. Definitely do that. Year of health could be like blocking focus time or cycling to work or wrangling the millions of notifications I get on GitHub every day. The point is it's broad enough to give you the framework to make those decisions. Okay. We've set our theme. Can I get some smiley faces or maybe rainbows in the chat for people on YouTube? So is that it? Is that the talk over? Well, I've got two tips to kind of really drive it home. So, Mihei, that's the wrong one. Why is that slide different? That's interesting. Yeah, the AI has taken over. It's deciding, I don't know why that's showing different slides. But anyway, let's switch through these a bit. All right. Mihei Csikszentmihalyi, I'm not going to pronounce his last name. All right. So this is the guy that recognized the psychological concept of flow states, or like some people refer to it as in the zone, head in the game, etc. He talks about something I love, which doesn't show up apparently. I don't know what's happened to my slides midway through this, but I think I'm going to push that through. There we go. So he talks about a concept I love called rig the game so that you're always feeling some sort of progress. The most motivating thing to do is to give yourself a tangible progress, a sense of progress towards your goals. So what does this mean in practice? Break your outcomes down into the smallest pieces possible. So using our year of reading example, we had, I want to read 12 new books, read a chapter. Like, we can break it down to tiny pieces like I just want to read a chapter of a book, or I want to read a page of a book. Because it feels really good to tick off to-do items. And if you set it up for yourself to constantly tick off those items, you'll feel motivated to continue on. So tip one is break it down. And I really love how the beer kind of molds. Looks like the glass is liquid in this one. Tip two is pretty straightforward. Write down your theme somewhere where you're going to see it every day. The fridge, the toilet, your desk, whatever works. You just want to keep it front of mind. Side note, you get to see my amazing handwriting here and photos of my family with Santa that I haven't yet taken down. All right. That's it. Talk's over. So, to summarize, pick a theme, start with why, ideal outcomes, break it down, write it down. Now, a lot of these concepts come from different places that I've mashed together, but the two to mainly check out is CGP Grey really introduced the concept around this and runs a website called Theme System where they sell a journal, a paper journal to chuck your theme. You don't need it, but if you like paper, check it out. The main reason why I have the second link there is their podcast. They go into excruciating detail for hours about how they pick their themes and et cetera, et cetera. So if you're interested, those are definitely the links to check out. Lastly, the most important number, 48, is the number of beers that appeared in this presentation. Thanks, everyone. I'll open the floor to questions if anyone has any.
That was really good, Callum. Thanks.
Thank you.
One thing I've seen people talk about is, you know, the way the standard habit tracker apps that you'll get for your phone,
Yep.
and they'll normally display a grid of dots. And if you
Like
miss
my
one,
GitHub contributor.
yeah, it looks like that.
That's
So if you
looking
miss
a
one,
bit
you feel
sad, yeah.
really, really bad, and it kind of haunts you. It makes you think that's, you know, you've let yourself down, and once you've missed 2 or 3, you just go, well, oh well, I'm done now, and I give up. It's kind of like the gym thing, you know, if you miss a couple of days, you just give up.
Yeah.
And that's something that I struggle with a lot. Is you do like a couple of weeks of doing really well, and then you miss a couple, and then you're like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And this is a really great way to get around that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I've definitely fallen into that. The Duolingo bird has been blowing up my phone for months, and
It's all right, he's dead now. apparently.
yeah, I heard he's dead. Yeah, but you're right. It's it's not happened a couple of times, so fuck it. Like, what's the point, right? And I think this is why having that rigidity around goal setting just doesn't work for normal life. Whereas having that theme of, like, I want to learn language, so I'm going to have an ideal outcome of maybe have a conversation in language or be able to say 10 phrases in language will help you get to there, because then if you miss a week or two, like I'm sick or I'm hungover or something, I don't want to feed the bird, then maybe it allows you to restart later. Did you have a question? No. Yes? Need the microphone.
I just kind of wanted to ask where you got your, like, what tool did you use for the AI pictures this
Oh,
time?
good question. I don't know, actually. I can figure it out. It was like, I literally typed in free AI generator.
I kind of do the same thing as well, but yeah.
But I ended up using DALL-E for some of them. Pretty much the free AI generator I used for ones that didn't require text, because DALL-E doesn't seem to be able to do text properly.
Oh. Yeah.
DALL-E for the other ones.
I just wanted to ask, sorry, how you, or about scale of how many themes that you might set up for a year?
Great question. Yeah, so I present this as year of, right? Like setting a theme for the year, but it doesn't have to be a year, right? It can be for a 3-month period. Maybe you're going through a transition. Maybe you just need to focus on something for a small bit of time. You can set it for a couple of weeks, for a couple of months, whatever, right? I wouldn't recommend running multiple themes at once. I do know people who set like a work theme and a personal theme, and that's totally fine. But as you kind of start to figure it out, the point here is the mantra of, I'm going to have this thing on my fridge that I walk past every day, and then I'm going to think, so my theme for this year is year of intentionality. So I'm going to think, what is the intentional choice that I'm going to make today, right? To come here, do a presentation to you guys, because this is what I want to do. Not just because they asked me and I went, oh, fuck it, I guess I should do that, you know what I mean? So you can run multiple at once. I wouldn't suggest it up front. Maybe it makes sense as you go, but it'll start to muddy that kind of decision-making framework, if that makes sense.
Can you adjust your theme along the way? Like what you were saying then in terms of like you want to pick one, could you sort of tweak it so it covers, I guess, more things, or so that thing on the wall is more in line with the direction you're heading, I guess?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is for you at the end of the day, right? So we're like engineers, we iterate things as we go because we notice that they're not working or they could be tweaked to be better. Update as you go and figure it out. And if the theme's not working for you, you can just bail on it and set a new one. That's the brilliant thing. So like my example from before of, I've missed a couple of weeks of feeding the Duolingo bird. Maybe I get 3 months in and go, actually, I started learning French and I really don't like it, or I'm not interested in language learning at all. And that's okay to just drop it out and start again. It's kind of like an agile delivery conversation, right? Cool.
That's it, I think.
Thank you so much. Nobody ran down the fire escape, so that's a good sign. Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's that way.
Excellent.
All right, thanks, heaps, Callum.
Thanks,
Thank
Callum.
you, guys.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking today to everyone about learning iOS development with Swift and my journey of learning Swift with iOS development and a compare and contrast of now and the future. This is Melbourne CocoaHeads 182. My name is Dylan Armstrong. I'm a student at Swinburne. About me, my career so far. So I've currently worked as a senior IT tech for an online ordering and point of sale company. I have 3.5 years experience in the industry. I previously worked in cloud, in QA, in DevOps. I'm also a WorldSkills National Cloud Computing Competition winner in AWS, as well as state, and I was competing overseas last year. And I'm an aspiring computer science researcher and academic. So not let me go next, there we go. What have I been learning at university? I've been learning the two subjects I want to particularly highlight here, which I think have the most relevance to my app, is object-oriented programming and software development for mobile devices. My learnings regarding these, as I learnt about the basic OO concepts like encapsulation, object-oriented design, programming, abstraction, that sort of stuff. Also learnt about Kotlin in mobile development subjects, learnt about view models, live data, mutable, immutable data, XML layouts, etc. No Jetpack Compose. I don't know why they haven't updated it, but that's all right. My outcomes in terms of what I've been learning is I built a text-based adventure game in C#, that was Swim Adventure. Built a drawing program with SplashKit in C#, which is like a framework for building little shapes, a library that you add to a C# application. Built a video game collection tracking app, which you can see right here. And that was built with for the Android unit, so in Kotlin with XML layouts, and Firebase Firestore for the database. Let me go next. What am I building and why? What's in this for me? There's two ways to look at this. That's what's in it for me and for my users. In terms of what's in it for me, it means I get to have a finished iOS app in my portfolio and to improve my programming and design skills in Swift, Swift UI and Swift Data. The app will help manage, view, share and plan recipes more easily for my users and more easily and more powerfully. And this is what it sort of looks like here. So you've got like a basic view there with some tabs down the bottom. I'm now going to do a quick demo, just showing you the app. Please bear in mind the app's not quite finished yet. I just want to show you my progress because part of the conversation with the presentation is in 6 months' time, what does it look like? So I will show you this now. Let's go to the simulator. So this is kind of what the app looks like. So you can click on recipes, you can view them like this. So it's got ingredients, it's got name, picture. You can go back, which reverts to another view within the application. So you can go back, you can create a recipe. So if I wanted, say, come on, pizza recipe 2. I'm just going to go very basic. I can't. Test description 2, just for example. Let's say, okay, now this increment decrement counter will literally go up to 180, and then we'll sort of throw a message, error cannot increment recipe time any further. Same with decreasing, it goes to 0 and then stops. Let's just say it takes half an hour. Let's put an image. Now, one thing I do want to improve on for next time is putting some predefined images in. I thought though for development and testing, which is where sort of the app lies within the software development lifecycle at the moment, this is where it sort of sits, where I need, for now it just works. Later on though, for better user experience, probably want to move it to XC assets. So we can put that there. Next, I have some predefined ingredients. You can also define them here. So we're going to add the ingredients. You can also remove them by clicking on them. Then you can go back here. There you go, there's our other recipe. Cool, so we'll go back to the presentation. Come on. The application architecture, the technologies that are needed for the app. So there was some comparisons that I did between a few different technologies, in particular what parts of the infrastructure and architecture we need for the application. For database, it was between really Swift Data and Core Data. For a front end, Swift UI or UIKit. Cloud technologies using Apple Cloud Kit or running as a local Swift Data Core Data database. Database, Swift Data was selected. Before we go on to why, I want to compare them two side by side. So Swift Data integrates seamlessly with Swift code, with macros and aiming for model schema to be written as Swift code, as you can see sort of by this one here, which is Swift Data. As you can see, you pretty much create your class, got your fields, attributes, initializer, and you can just, the model, it's an object relational database, so it'll just map straight into the database as the object. And it's also much easier to learn. Core Data is supported for more versions of iOS. Swift Data is only 17 and up. It has more features and it's also an object relational database. I chose Swift Data because it's more modern, it's more developer friendly, and it was also quite powerful with Swift code. The front end and UI, I selected Swift UI because sort of similar reasons to why I picked Swift Data, but I'll go into that in a minute. It's a declarative model, allowing developers to allowing developers to describe using code how the UI should look, as opposed to UI kit, which is a bit more oriented towards designers. It's a newer, more modern technology in itself. UI kit's an imperative model. Developers must write step-by-step instructions. Simple UIs can be delegated to designers. It's older, but it does give you slightly more control over the UI. And actually, well, yeah, sorry, I forgot to say why I chose Swift UI. It was pretty similar reasons to why I picked Swift Data, more modern, bit easier. Not saying it being easier can also be a bad thing, as I'm sure some of us probably know. But it can also, in this case it works, it's a uni project, I'm just learning. So Swift UI is modern, it's easier to pick up, and the documentation's there as well. Cloud technologies, local was selected. There is a disclaimer at the bottom. I'm using local for now for testing purposes, but once I get to the point of the app where users need to be able to share recipes, it might be worth looking at CloudKit, and as the scalability needs to increase. So that's the reason why I'm choosing local for now for dev testing. And I'm at this point, I'm not at the point where I need user share recipes because there isn't a feature that's built yet. Running locally for users' own recipes, ingredients, etc. can be used offline when you're using local Swift data. Runs in the user's own iCloud account, more control over the data, and that's that. With Apple CloudKit, which is the cloud service that Apple use in containers, it must have an internet connection, obviously, to connect to it. More scalable, reduced maintenance. Yeah, and then the next slide. So what have I learnt thus far? I've learnt, obviously, how to write iOS apps with Swift UI and data, how to select a database, front-end framework, and do proper comparisons. I've also learnt that UI and UX is a lot more important than I first thought. I did learn this a little bit in my Android unit, and I do want to improve on my UI and user experience. Like, for example, before where I was saying with having an XC assets for the predefined images, instead of being able to just pick images and then you got to go search, just bad user experience in my opinion, as I'm sure a lot of you would agree. What do I hope to see in 6 months' time? I hope to see a finished product, learn how to build and publish apps, learn how to make a profit from an app. And that is the end. If you want to connect with me on anything, by all means, I have LinkedIn and GitHub here. You're allowed to follow me, that's fine. If the QR codes don't work, let me know and we can talk after. I'm 99% sure they do. Because last time I had them expire.
I think
Any questions?
definitely if you figure out how to make profit with an app, please come back and tell us, because a lot of people would love to know the answer. Did anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Thanks for the talk. I'm just kind of amazed that your university course, you're learning both iOS and Android.
Nope.
Maybe no?
We learn Android. iOS I'm doing on my own. They used to be an iOS unit. They stopped it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I learnt C when I was at uni, so I don't know if that's showing my age.
We're going to do C++ next semester. So.
Well, how have you found the comparison between iOS and Android? Obviously, you've learnt both.
Look, in terms of like just a comparison between the two, or?
Yeah, I mean, do you prefer one or the other, or?
Yep. Okay. So look, me having used Apple devices since I was little, of course I'm going to sort of go the fanboy method and go towards Apple. But in terms of more technically speaking, iOS I find easier to write for, especially maybe because I haven't played with Jetpack Compose yet, but I know the way we learned Android at uni was when you've got XML layouts and then you've also got the Kotlin code. It was a weird thing just for me for some reason to grasp at the first point. And I like Swift UI. This is more importantly about Swift UI, and the reason why I prefer it is because Swift UI you can just write it as code and use Swift data as code. And I just find iOS a lot easier. It was easier to pick up. You do need a Mac for it. That's all right. But look, I did learn it a lot easier, and I find it more enjoyable learning Swift and iOS development personally.
Hi, thanks for the talk. Do you have any tips about learning materials or the way that you went from zero to where you are now with the iOS development?
Yep, so there's two ways I'd look at it. One is self-taught, just by building a project yourself. But before you get to that point, I learnt there's a website called Hacking with Swift, and that was pretty good. Also learnt to watch some YouTube videos on Free Code Camp. They were pretty useful as well.
I saw something. I just realized something pretty cool in your app. I realized you said you're using C# for it, correct?
For the iOS app?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, that's Swift. C# I use during my uni studies for other stuff, but yeah.
For the app, did you consider adding the Hugging Face API to it?
Sorry?
I mean, I just thought it'd be kind of cool if you added some kind of AI generation to the app, because what you can do then is that for the photos, instead of having to actually get them from your own phone and put them over there, you could actually just generate the photos on the app.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should look at that. Version 3. Yeah. Version
Well, we can
50.
talk about it later.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I think it's actually a good idea.
Just wondering if you had an opportunity to experiment with unit testing. Have you written any tests for it?
Not with Swift yet. I have had a little play with it. Haven't done a heap with it yet. It's on my list though, because of course you need unit test, or otherwise it's a piece of crap program, right? When I did C# at uni, we did a lot of stuff with XUnit and NUnit testing. Actually, which one was it? NUnit, I think. So yeah, I have done stuff with unit tests. When I was working as a cloud engineer as well, I had to write a bunch of Jest.js unit tests for a Lambda function. So yeah, it's on my list, and it's pretty priority on there. So I will get to that, yes.
Any more questions? All right, thanks heaps, Dylan.
No worries.
Thank you.
Maybe. Yes. Thank you, everyone. That was awesome, Dylan and Callum. I think one thing that I've realized, or maybe correct me if I'm wrong, did that automatically switch between presenter mode and screen mirroring?
I was curious about that.
Yeah.
It did look like
I think it automatically did it, which is incredible. Is that a new feature? Does anyone know about this? I think it's a new thing. Anyway, it just did it by itself. So that's great news. Anyway, to recap, Coding Night, come next Wednesday. That'll be great. See you there. CocoaHeads Social Night, 25th of February, last Tuesday a month at Brick Lane Brewing? Something like that. Tops will be there. Thanks again to our sponsors and our future sponsors. Great. And then if anyone wants to join us for social time at the Mitre Tavern, we'll see you. Let's go 2025. Thanks for joining us. Woo. That's great.